You're standing in line at airport security. Everything feels routine. Shoes off, laptop out, belt in the tray. Then, a TSA officer looks up and says, "Can I see your phone?" The background noise fades. Your heart skips. This isn't about your carry-on anymore. What most travelers don't realize is that TSA officers now operate under expanded screening protocols tied to digital behavior indicators. They're not reading your texts, but they can flag your device for secondary inspection if something appears suspicious during screening. The problem? You might not even know what's triggering it. This isn't some dystopian future. It's happening right now. A forgotten browser tab, an unusual app, a download you didn't think twice about. Any of these could get you pulled aside while everyone else boards. You could be anyone. A parent flying to see your kids, a college student heading home, a retiree on a dream vacation. One overlooked detail could turn your routine trip into an hours-long ordeal. Most people have no idea what raises red flags. They don't know what agents look for, what apps create concern, or what simple steps could protect their privacy and save them from delays. Before your next flight, you need to understand what TSA can actually see, what triggers their attention, and most importantly, what you should delete from your phone right now to avoid missing your flight because of something you didn't even know was a problem. Let's be clear about something. TSA isn't the FBI. They don't have full legal access to your private data. They can't just demand your passcode and scroll through your photos, messages, or banking apps without cause. But here's where it gets complicated, and where most travelers are dangerously uninformed. Under Department of Homeland Security oversight, TSA agents can perform behavioral screening and device inspection under what's called security pretext. That's the official term. And what it means in practice is this. If your device raises suspicion, maybe because of how it behaves, not necessarily what's on it, you could be flagged for secondary screening. And once you're flagged, the rules change. The uncertainty is part of the design. You don't get a checklist. You don't get a warning. You just get pulled aside. So what actually triggers these flags? Most people assume it's about illegal content or terrorist watch lists. And while that's part of it, the reality is far more mundane and far more likely to affect ordinary travelers. Here are the subtle behaviors that can get you flagged. If an agent asks you to unlock your phone and you fumble with the passcode, try Face ID multiple times or hesitate. That hesitation gets noted. To you, it's nerves. To them, it's a behavioral indicator. Apps that hide photos, create vaults, or password protect files aren't illegal. But during a screening, they stand out. They look like you're hiding something. And in a security context, privacy tools can be interpreted as concealment tools. If you use a VPN for work, travel, or just general privacy, that's your right. But when an officer sees Tor browsers, encrypted messaging apps, or offshore VPN services on your phone, it creates questions. Why do you need that level of anonymity? What are you protecting? Sudden deletion activity right before screening. This one surprises people. If your phone shows signs of mass file deletion, cleared browser history, wiped messages, recently uninstalled apps, right before you enter security, that's a red flag. To an officer, that doesn't look like tidying up. It looks like you're scrambling to hide something. And here's the thing. You might have perfectly innocent reasons for all of this. Maybe you delete old photos to free up space. Maybe your company requires encryption for client data. Maybe you just value your privacy in an increasingly invasive digital world. But in the high-stakes environment of airport security, innocent explanations don't always matter. Suspicion does. Now here's where this gets even more serious. If you're flagged by TSA, or if you're traveling through a border area or international terminal, Customs and Border Protection can step in. And unlike TSA, CBP does have the legal authority to inspect, copy, and forensically analyze the contents of your phone. They can read your messages, look at your photos, check your search history, access your cloud storage, all without a warrant. This isn't theoretical. In 2024 alone, over 35,000 devices were searched at U.S. airports and border crossings. That number has been climbing every year, and the legal challenges against these searches have repeatedly been dismissed under national security grounds. You don't have to be entering the country for this to affect you. Connecting flights through international terminals, layovers in border states, even domestic flights that CBP happens to be monitoring. Once you're in their jurisdiction, your digital privacy becomes negotiable. Let me tell you about some real people this has happened to. A college student traveling home for Thanksgiving was detained for over 3 hours because of memes saved in a private group chat. The images were edgy, sarcastic jokes shared among friends. Taken out of context by a security officer, they looked threatening. By the time the student was cleared, they'd missed their flight and spent the night in the airport. A business traveler was flagged because encrypted company files on his laptop looked suspicious to the screening officer. He couldn't provide the decryption keys without violating his employer's security policies. The standoff lasted hours. He nearly lost his job over the missed client meeting. A family returning from vacation had their phones inspected because their teenage daughter had downloaded a VPN app to watch streaming content not available in the U.S. The parents had no idea what a VPN even was. They spent their entire layover trying to explain something they didn't understand. None of them were criminals. None of them were hiding anything illegal. But the pattern was the same: confusion, panic, missed flights, and lasting regret. That's why digital awareness isn't optional anymore. It's survival. Here's what to check. Before you ever reach the airport gate, your search history. Go through it. Not just the obvious stuff. Those late-night research rabbit holes, medical symptoms you Googled, political topics, anything that uses keywords that could be misunderstood or flagged by automated systems. A search for pressure cooker recipes might be innocent, but combined with other searches, it creates a pattern that algorithms notice. Screenshots and memes saved in your camera roll. That dark humor you shared with friends last month, the political satire, the edgy joke that made you laugh at 2 a.m., out of context, in the hands of someone trained to look for threats, they tell a very different story. Delete them. Your downloads folder, old PDFs, scanned documents, copies of your passport or driver's license you saved just in case, expired boarding passes, random files you don't even remember saving. Clear it all out. You don't need that clutter, and you definitely don't need to explain why you have 3 different versions of your ID saved on your phone. Messaging apps. Scroll back through old conversations, private chats, group threads, voice messages. Archive or delete anything that could be misread. Inside jokes that reference violence, even sarcastically. Frustrated rants about authority figures. Complaints about security or airports themselves. It doesn't matter that you were venting. What matters is how it looks. Photos from parties. Protest images. Even if you were just documenting history. Anything that could be taken out of context. A raised fist. A confrontational pose. Substances in the background. Your memories aren't worth the interrogation. And here's something most people miss. Your recently deleted folder. You think deleting something makes it gone. It doesn't. Not immediately. Forensic software can still detect deletion patterns. Empty that folder. Make sure it's actually erased. This isn't about hiding something. You're not a criminal covering tracks. You're removing confusion before it has a chance to start. You're eliminating the opportunity for misinterpretation. But here's the critical part. Timing matters more than you think. Deleting everything the night before your flight? Red flag? Clearing your browser history in the airport parking lot? Suspicious behavior. Mass deleting photos while standing in the security line? That's exactly the kind of frantic activity that gets you pulled aside. Do this days ahead, gradually, like digital hygiene. Make it routine maintenance, not a panicked purge. Because airports use behavioral algorithms now. They track nervous gestures, repeated phone unlocking, how often you glance at your screen, how you hold your device, your body language while waiting in line. Even hesitation at the wrong moment can trigger an additional check. The way you grip your phone when asked to power it on. The split-second pause before entering your passcode. The slight tremor in your hand. None of these things prove guilt, but they create suspicion. And suspicion is all it takes. And it's about to get worse. In 2026, TSA begins integrating AI-assisted behavior tracking across major airports. Not just cameras watching your face. Systems that monitor how passengers handle their devices during security, how quickly you unlock your phone when asked, whether you shield your screen, how many times you check notifications while waiting. The technology can detect micro-expressions you don't even know you're making. It tracks patterns across thousands of travelers and flags outliers, people who deviate from normal behavior. Whatever that means. It's not just what's on your phone anymore. It's how you use it, how you react to it, how your relationship with your device appears to an algorithm trained on data from millions of screenings. Your habits are the data. The way you tap, the apps you open under stress, how long you stare at your lock screen before entering your code. And the system is always learning, always watching, always building profiles of what suspicious looks like. You can't hide from an AI that's analyzing every micro-behavior, but you can control what's on your device. You can eliminate the obvious triggers. You can show up prepared, calm, and clean. Because in this new reality, your phone isn't just a device anymore. It's evidence waiting to be interpreted. And you get to decide what story it tells. The safest travelers aren't the ones who hide. They're the ones who prepare. After everything we've covered, the expanded protocols, the behavioral flags, the AI tracking, the very real possibility of having your digital life scrutinized by strangers with badges, it's easy to feel powerless, like privacy is something that evaporates the moment you enter an airport terminal. But here's the truth. They don't tell you. Knowledge is the most powerful form of defense. And right now, you have something most travelers don't. You understand how the system works. You know what triggers scrutiny. You know what to avoid. That awareness changes everything. So let's talk about how to fly without fear, how to move through security with confidence instead of dread, how to take back control over your digital presence when you travel. First, back up your sensitive data before you ever leave home. Cloud storage, external hard drive, a secure computer that stays behind. Whatever method works for you, use it. Then travel with the absolute minimum on your devices. Your phone doesn't need your entire photo library from the past 5 years. Your laptop doesn't need client files from projects that wrapped up months ago. Strip it down to what you actually need for the trip. Think of it like packing light, but for your digital life. The less you carry, the less you have to protect, and the less you have to explain. For international trips, consider using a separate travel phone. A clean device with fresh accounts, minimal apps, and nothing personal. You can forward calls from your main number, check essential emails, handle what you need to handle. Then when you return home, you wipe it and start fresh for the next trip. It sounds extreme until you're the one standing in a CBP office watching an agent scroll through your personal messages. Then it sounds like the smartest decision you ever made. Here's a counterintuitive tip that surprises people. Keep your devices unlocked until after you clear security, not before you get to the checkpoint. That creates the appearance of frantic last-minute activity. But once you're in line, once you're committed to the screening process, having your phone ready to be examined without hesitation shows you have nothing to hide. It's the opposite of suspicious behavior. It signals transparency. And when an agent does ask to see your phone, if they ask to power it on or unlock it or demonstrate that it's a functioning device and not a shell for something, do it calmly. No nervous jokes, no defensive explanations, just simple compliance. Sure, here you go. Quick, professional, unmemorable. Because here's what most people don't realize. Agents are trained to detect nervousness. They look for people who seem uncomfortable with scrutiny, who talk too much or too little, who avoid eye contact or make too much. Every behavioral cue gets cataloged, even if subconsciously. The traveler who breezes through, polite and prepared, rarely gets flagged. It's the ones who radiate anxiety, who clutch their phones like contraband, who hesitate or over-explain. They're the ones who get pulled aside. Calm confidence isn't arrogance. It's just preparedness made visible. Stay informed about policy changes. TSA procedures evolve constantly. What's acceptable today might be scrutinized differently 6 months from now. Follow aviation security updates. Check for new regulations before major trips. Know your rights, but also know the practical reality of how those rights hold up in a busy security checkpoint when you have a flight to catch. And remember, you're allowed to ask questions. If an agent asks to examine your device, you can politely ask why. You can request clarification about what they're looking for. Most of the time, they'll give you a generic answer about security protocols. But occasionally, they'll tell you something specific. An app raised a flag, or your device matched a certain profile. That information is valuable. It tells you what to adjust for next time. You don't need to fear the system, but you do need to understand it. The rules of travel are changing. Privacy isn't just about what you pack in your suitcase anymore. It's about what you carry in your pocket. It's about the digital footprint you leave behind with every tap, every search, every downloaded file. And the travelers who thrive in this new landscape aren't the ones pretending these changes aren't happening. They're the ones who adapt, who treat digital hygiene like physical hygiene, who understand that preparation prevents panic. You can be one of them. Clean your devices before you travel. Know what triggers flags. Carry yourself with the confidence of someone who has nothing to hide, because you've already taken care of the confusion before it could start. When an AI system is tracking your micro-behaviors, the best strategy isn't to try to outsmart it. It's to have nothing worth flagging in the first place. This isn't paranoia. It's pragmatism. And if you found this information valuable, share it with someone flying soon. A family member heading out for the holidays. A friend with an international work trip. A colleague who travels constantly but has no idea these protocols exist. Because if TSA asks to see their phone and they're not prepared, they'll wish they knew this first. The difference between a smooth trip and a nightmare experience isn't luck. It's preparation. Now you're prepared.